So those are the kinds of things you can do. You can do crazy ass stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to testing. I got it.
Understood.
He needs a touch.
I do.
Touch and feel.
Like, go to the restroom.
Is there a key or something we needed to
No.
restrooms?
No.
Just
Only if you wanna go to the.
Unless you're going into the ladies'
Right,
room.
understood.
No, we don't have the key. We're gonna have another discussion. Let me.
Put this back.
Thank you, sir.
Still going? Okay. So basically what we're trying to do is we've got to get back and we'll try to get you a copy. We need the editor, and we have something called cloak, decloak, that you can play with. And what it does just on a file basis, it just simply closes and decloses files. We have mass decloak, but for an individual file for you to play with and stuff, like see how this stuff works and doesn't work on just a file level thing, we'll get you that. But we've got to get the editor. Like I said, we're in so many states of flux right now, and it's just me.
No, yeah, and believe me, I totally understand that, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges. So some of the things that are frustrating for me, because we have these professionals in the room, we want to address those things. But the thing, we have 8 hours in a day and we have no money, and so we try to do what we can. We come here, we
Yeah.
try to do the best we can with what we
Yeah, I
have.
know.
No, I
We got no
totally
money,
understand.
so we're trying to do a startup, and it ain't easy, that's for sure. That's why I don't want you to take anything that's too hard.
No, actually, I actually want to get together with both you and him and get, and resolve your individual things. The problem is that they're not, those are in-depth discussions that themselves take a certain amount of time. Because the problem that I find myself having is that, one of the things I jump ahead because I assume I've been in some work environments you've been in, and I go and I say, and I assume I think I know what your question is, right? I jump ahead of that. And then, and there may be some nuanced things, so that's one problem. The other thing is that I get so focused on, basically addressing, because some of this is new.
I'm sorry, but I think we have a time check.
Yeah.
I think it was one,
It
actually.
was one on the.
Did he tell you?
Yeah,
It was actually one, so.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, okay.
Hey, it's,
I know I gotta go move the
oh,
car.
it was a car, because that's some questions
Right.
we're going to call. You want to move
Oh,
the car?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Move the car, just
Yeah, he's gonna-
like 10 minutes of questions, just real quick.
12:50, I mean, I'm close, but I should probably.
Yeah, don't risk anything.
Musical car.
I think that part of the challenge for you is that you're so smart that, being able to dummy this down for just like, people who don't understand technology at the level that you do, so that it's more
And that's
easy
my
to
weakness
use.
too, because
Is
it
yeah.
gets frustrating for me in the sense that this is our first one. And the problem is, we started doing this in 2004 with the stuff that Mark's interested in.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we've had these discussions with a lot of people, and we're still here, right? So, but the problem is, and you know this, you go and you have these presentations, whatever, they have their little particular thing, and I welcome this group because it's a little wider perspective and more diverse interests. But you answer other questions and all that stuff, and then some other comes, I don't like the way you deodorant smells, whatever it is. So that presentation, that's why I wanted to record this stuff, that gets wasted stuff. But at some point in time, we've had these discussions, several times over. And that doesn't mean that the person who's asking the question doesn't have a valid interest in having his question answered, number one. Number two, or that it's not a valid question, regardless of who asked it before 20 years. It doesn't matter. The point is that he needs to be satisfied, right? And I'm not as good at that because I do have a tendency to get frustrated with people here and tell you today, and it's part of that kind of passionate thing. I want to be moving forward doing the new stuff, whatever. So I need to work on that. But trust me, we have the answers and need to present them, and they need to, but the people.
I think it may work best if Mark describes what he needs out of this, and you can then sort of tailor it to that in some regards. Because there's just so much that I keep hearing that's going, I mean,
No, I know.
there's so many ideas. I mean, yes, I can take you to
What-
Sony and Disney and all these people and that may be the direction. I don't know, but it may be something else. Just don't understand. But I think we have to start somewhere.
We have a.
Because you're covering so much territory. You know, I think you're trying to solve the whole planet.
Well, actually,
With this.
we're not. It's what's happening here. Honestly, is all we're doing is saying, we can send a file from point A to point B, and you can't crack the son of a bitch. That's all we're doing. But everybody else comes in, and they have a particular, no offense, but they have a particular agenda. Oh, can you fit it to this? Well, yeah, we can. You know, and we do that, right? And so that's how it's kind of broadened out, and apparently it's good. A lot of people, but for us, we're running out of bandwidth. We started at the hub with this wagon wheel. Now we're out here, and one guy wants us to do. One guy wanted us to do the. That's why I'm very conversant in that area. Wanted to just do Bitcoin wallets because that's something we can nail, right? I mean, we've got that. So when you deliver it, I mean, we can't just because it's a certain.
It's a hot topic, and there's lots of money there. I can understand.
Well, we try, but so we can go that way. But the thing is, that to do that, we have to take it away from our core technologies. Or if we do the email, we have to. So we kind of said email because it sets up a man-in-the-middle situation that is unique. It sets up, but it also covers something that Mark would be well aware of. The issue that we have, the thing that we can do that really nobody else could do because they require continuous oversight, but we don't. And the issue is the same because it comes from our original focus was on people. So we long ago realized that we can't rely on this person. All we do is put it in a computer. We can't rely on this person not being 4 days before we see his face again. We've got to identify that person as being uniquely that person on a different device, different day, different country, right? So we kind of got it. We know that, right? So we started applying digital assets, and so that's where the synergy was. The reason we were presenting this today, and the email in particular, is because our thought was that when you get said and done, as a technical matter, these are the same problem domain. They really are. You got people over here, and what you're tracking there is you're tracking, rather than changes in, over here, when you're doing digital assets, you're changing the environment, is it what you want it to be, okay? Here you're tracking changes, and you're saying, is it what he said he used to be, right? They're the same problem, looking at it different ways. But the technology behind it, the need to track, to identify, to reassert, assert that this is in fact the digital asset, which is a little bit easier. Is this the same person? All of a sudden, getting snippets time. It's the same problem. And there's people in this room in this conversation that were heard earlier that were far more knowledgeable certain aspects of that than I am. But in terms of traversing those two, not so much. I've sat in these and seen the things that they're talking about. Boots on the ground, and that becomes my concern. We can talk a certain amount of theoretical, which I actually enjoy doing, and we can talk about the hypothetical and all these other things. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I ask this person to do to secure a product. If it isn't something he's willing to do, I'm screwed. Period. End of subject. We're only here. This technology to solve all these problems already exists. Trust me. If it were applied correctly, and if it were done the way the person, and if it's Tuesday and you hold your tongue in your cheek, you left you just right. Stuff works. But start going mobile, start on people that have two footprints. Their domestic personal life, where they are one person, their constrained professional life, they're somebody else. That is incredibly problematic. And it's problematic on two levels. One of them is that in your work environment, unless you're in the military, you've got HR saying you can't introduce a certain piece of information here. You know, unless it makes the evening news, and unless it makes a police blotter somewhere, the fact that you hit your wife is inconsequential to the HR department, surprisingly. Not so inconsequential as a personal matter when somebody's wanting to do the bona fides for application, maybe even for credit, because that's a credit influence. your ability or lack of ability to get yourself in jail has a tremendous impact on your ability to repay money you borrow. So anyway, we get into all that, but that tracking of things and people across multiple domains, which is something in the digital world has never been addressed properly at the root cause. Everything we're doing in
That's not part of AMUmail, right? That's a different product,
which is,
what you just explained. People and then the behavior and.
well, we didn't, yeah, that's part of the predictive stuff.
Yeah, that's that long-term goal of that common operating.
We started,
procedure.
yeah.
That the DOD definitely wants. And again, I'm not necessarily a cyber guy, which is why I brought up.
But I mean, it has applications in the financial world too.
We have
But it requires that, I guess, you have to look at behavior and get some data. Cause fraud,
that's actually one of our criteria, believe it or not. We are folding in,
I mean, that was an issue when you were talking about mind drifting, because there are companies looking, this minority report, can I predict that when I give credit to Mark, $30,000 that he's asking for a loan, is he gonna be able to pay that off when he's asking? So just because his credit score is good, and what you just described, that's what earlier my mind went, I said, this is pretty fascinating, but the problem with that is, I need to be collecting data about this person. So if I even go public sources or social media, and there are companies trying to do that, they do sentiment analysis. I ran into a couple of kids that were, kids that were young gentlemen trying to do.
I don't know if you guys know, the Blue Book Association, my dad ran one for 30 years. Blue Book Association.
Well, I mean, they were scraping stuff. I mean, I can do a little bit of the facial recognition to look at a sentiment, happy and not. Analysis, is there a gun behind him? And I track with the comments, I look at the text and say, do those words resonate? Like you were saying, and there's certain psychological aspects of something that somebody came up with some algorithm and says, yeah, because he was standing there with a gun, frowning, and said these words, therefore I'm gonna rate him as a red, as a threat. Okay. But the problem with that model is what's the veracity of the data that you're getting?
I said, that's why we promote these
Right?
things. Up to
Fake
the
news,
public.
somebody could make that up.
No, I know. Which is why it's very applicable to DOD, right?
Right, absolutely, the inside
You have to know
strategy.